So this is the 2.2 Word of Life practice booklet going through the answers. So the first question is on classification. The table shows how lions and tigers are classified by zoologists. So we've got the classification group, their feature or characteristic, and for a lion and a tiger. Name the class to which the lion belongs. So it's going to cross a class to the lion and it's Mammalia. Name the order which the tigers belong to. Again, find the order. Go across to the tiger and it's the Carnivora. What information shows that lions and tigers both belong to the kingdom Animalia, where they both move in search of its food? Looking at the feature. Why are lions and tigers both in the phylum Chordata? And Chordata is just looking at that is a vertebrate, so they both contain a backbone. The scientific name for a tiger is Panthera tigris. What's the scientific name for a lion? And remembering that the scientific name, we take the genus and we take the species. So for our lion, looking at the lion, for our lion we would take the genus and the species, the Panthera leo. Then it says, hyenas are meat-eating vertebrates that feed on their young. They feed their young on milk. They have the scientific name Carucha, can't say the Latin. Uses information to complete the table below for hyenas. So we know they belong to the kingdom Animalia. The phylum then is the same as the lions and the tigers, the Chordatas, because they have vertebrates, they are animals with a backbone. Class then, they are mammals because they feed their young on milk. That was in the question. They're carnivores because they are meat-eating. And then the family are the Hyenidae, and then it tells you that in the question the scientific name is our Latin there, and we know the scientific name is the genus and the species. Question 2, adaptation. The photograph below shows an Arctic fox. The Arctic fox is a mammal belonging to the phylum Vertebrates. Use the given information and your own knowledge to complete the classification of this animal. So we know straight away it's an animal, so it belongs to the animal kingdom. The phylum is Vertebrates. It then tells you it's a mammal belonging to the phylum Vertebrates. The order is a carnivore. The family is the Carnidae. And then the genus, it tells you it in brackets here, its scientific name. And then it's remembering that the first one, Alopex, is the genus. And then the Lagopus is the species. The Arctic fox hunts its prey. The fox lives in the Arctic where the land is covered in snow. Explain how each of the labelled adaptations help the Arctic fox survive in the cold climate of the Arctic. So white hair is for camouflage against the snow from predators. Thick hair, obviously to keep them nice and warm in the cold climate. And small ears to reduce heat loss. We have to say heat loss, we can't say anything else. Doesn't keep them warm having small ears, it just reduces our heat loss. The Arctic fox lives in many countries. It's also known as the white fox and polar fox. Why is it important for scientists to use the scientific name of the Arctic fox? And we use it because it's universal and it avoids confusion. That is the only thing you need to be saying for this question. Universal avoids confusion. Question 3, biodiversity. Read the information about the palm trees. So the palm trees grow in rainforest in Belize, Central America. Many trees are dying. Every year, millions of palm trees are cut and sold to florists in Europe for making bouquets. Palm trees grow slowly, producing only 2 leaves each year. If too many leaves are cut, the tree cannot survive. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature is concerned about this endangered species and the animal species that feed on it. Conservationists at Bangor University have set up Project Darwin. Through this project, farmers in Belize will grow palm trees in special areas to provide leaves for the floral industry. From this information, why are the palm trees sent to Europe? And they are sent to Europe to make bouquets. So just why so many palm trees are dying? They are dying because we're having too many leaves are being cut. How will the biodiversity in rainforest be affected in the future if palm trees continue to die? If they die, the biodiversity will decrease because they become extinct and we'll have less species. The reason then is because it's a loss of a species in a particular area. And then why will it take many years for Project Darwin to be effective? And it will take many years because it only produces 2 leaves each year, which is in the information above. Question 4, natural selection. The peppered moth exists as a light form and as a mutant dark form. Peppered moths can be eaten by birds. In areas affected by air pollution, the surfaces on which moths land are covered by dark, sooty deposits. The Industrial Revolution took place in the 1880s, and this was the cause of very high levels of air pollution by soot. The graph shows the percentages of dark and light forms of moth in the same 4 areas of Britain, A, B, C and D, in 1880 and 1950. Using the information in the graph, explain how peppered moths have been affected by natural selection between 1880 and 1950. Well, first thing to make note is that after the Industrial Revolution, the dark moths have the advantage because the environment around them got darker with the soot on the trees. With that then, less predation took place of black moths because the black moths were now camouflaged against any predators. With that then, the light moths, who are the most popular, have now become the predator's favourite. So the more predation on light moths and the more black moth survives, and they're going to pass on their genes. Since the Clean Air Act of 1956, industrial areas have become much less polluted, so there's going to be less soot on the trees. Explain the expected effect on the number of light-coloured moths surviving in areas A, B, C and D. So if you've got less pollution, we're going to have less sooty areas for a mark, and then a second mark then, so eventually then the light moths should increase. As the environment and less soot on the trees, and when the trees get lighter, the light moths should start to become camouflaged against predation, so their population size should increase. Suggest why it might be an advantage of the species for dark mutants to occur even in a non-polluted environment, because it increases their chance of survival if the environment ever changes. Last question. Quadrats. Lugworms live in burrows in the sand on beaches. At one end of the burrow is a hole and at the other end is a mound of sand called the cast, which the lugworm has removed from the burrow. Each burrow is occupied by one lugworm only. Owen was asked by a teacher to estimate the number of lugworms on a section of Whiteford Beach in Gower by counting the number of casts. Owen decided to use 1 metre squared quadrats to estimate the number of lugworms present in the area of the beach, measuring 80 metres by 40 metres. Which of the following methods would be the correct way for Owen to use the quadrats to sample the number of lugworms? And it would be to place the quadrats randomly. Okay, this is the key word that we are looking for with quadrats, that we place it randomly. Part B, Owen counted the number of casts in 10 quadrat samples. The table below shows his results. So we've got the 10 quadrats he placed and the number of casts in each. Complete the table above by calculating the mean number of casts. So I added them all up and I divided by 10 because we had 10 quadrats, and I've got an answer of 6.2. Estimate the number of lugworms in the section of the beach by using the following equation. Estimated number of lugworms equals the mean number of casts per quadrat and the area of beach section. So the mean number of casts per quadrat was 6.2, which I've got, and the area of the section of the beach was 80 by 40 metres, so I times them together to get the area of 3,200 and times it by the mean number, which gives me an estimate of 19,840 lugworms in the beach. Suggest why this method of sampling would not be suitable for estimating the population of earthworms in an area of grassland. And the reason is that you can't see the earthworms through the grass.